Imagine you're in the middle of an important video call, working on a crucial smart home project. Suddenly, the power goes out. With no electricity, your internet goes down, leaving you freezing or sweating in the dark, disconnected and frustrated. No worries. There is a cool way to keep your smart home and internet running smoothly, even during a power outage. Stick around as I explain how to use UPS gear to keep your home network running when the power goes out. Why might you need an interruptible power system or UPS? The most important reason is to provide continuous connectivity during a power failure. A UPS provides protection for your equipment all the time, not just in an emergency. With a UPS, you keep some selected devices running during power glitches, spikes, surges, and brownouts. Electronic equipment is sensitive to wide voltage swings and power surges. It's not widely known, but smaller voltage surges and dips, or brownouts, happen all the time. They degrade and ultimately damage expensive audio gear and electronics, such as computers, routers, switches, and hubs. Modern UPSs include voltage regulation, surge suppression, and brownout defenses, commonly called power conditioning, to protect against these issues. Using a UPS ensures you can perform an orderly shutdown when you lose power. Sure, most computers and electronics will handle an abrupt loss of power okay most of the time, but there's a real risk they can lose data or be damaged by a sudden power loss. If the power interruption is brief, with a UPS, you can keep on cruising or surfing the web without missing a beat. If you anticipate an extended outage, a UPS allows you to manually or even automatically shut down your systems gracefully and without panicking. There are some considerations before choosing to use a UPS. By themselves, they're not a whole house power solution, so you'll have to pick and choose which devices you want protected and plan accordingly when purchasing and installing. More on that in just a bit. UPSs may not be suitable for high power loads. Running a refrigerator, oven, or heating and air conditioning with a UPS is usually impractical or tremendously expensive. So check equipment ratings on the devices you want to protect and the output capacity of the UPS you plan on buying. UPSs are not the only game in town for power failure protection. Alternatives that feature much longer runtimes of many hours or days include generators and the newfangled personal power stations that have recently flooded the market. Generators are tried and true technology that rely on fossil fuels, including propane, natural gas, gasoline, or diesel. Specialized generators powered by fuel cells, solar, inertial flywheels, or other specialty energy sources deserve an honorable mention too. Generators can be finicky, requiring ongoing maintenance to ensure proper operation. They also have a large physical footprint and mechanical infrastructure due to the need for fuel storage and resupply. Their biggest drawback is they operate in standby mode. There is always the risk they will simply fail to start up when needed, and for true non-interruptible power, they must be combined with battery storage or other UPS technology to provide power during their slow startup and transfer time if you want continuously smooth power. Personal power station is a catchy marketing phrase for colossal battery banks. Take those personal battery packs used to recharge your phone or tablet a few times and scale them up to Godzilla-size arrays of huge batteries that can last hours and hours, and you get the picture. Personal power stations have inverters that can boost battery power to 110 volts or even 220 volts AC output to power household appliances, including power-hungry refrigerators, electric stoves, and others. Now, advances in solid-state battery technology, significantly greater density and capacity at lower prices have jump-started these product offerings. But great power still comes at a price. These new consumer power station products quickly become very expensive to buy. A decent battery capacity costs $500 to $1,000, and larger industrial systems like the Tesla Powerwall can run into tens of thousands of dollars. Lastly, some electric cars now include a reverse charging mode, which lets you connect your house to your car and power your house or parts of it.
Introducing the Mercedes AA Class, the first fully electric luxury sedan powered entirely by AA batteries. Just 9,648 AA batteries. Ample trunk space to store extra batteries. You can replace them individually or all at once with the Ribbon Release Auto Dump feature.
If that's your thing, have fun turning your $50,000 or $100,000 car's battery pack into a personal power station. I see the technical appeal. You've got a huge stack of batteries that you already own sitting inside the bottom of your car in your garage. But if you have more than a short power outage, you better have a gasoline car in your garage too. Otherwise, when your EV's battery is completely drained, you won't be able to drive away to safety or get help. So let's take a look at the tech behind UPS systems. There are three main types based on how they work: offline standby UPS, line interactive UPS, or online double conversion UPS. The offline standby UPS is the simplest and cheapest to buy. Normally, it is in standby mode and doing nothing. The main power flows directly to the output connections without being touched by the UPS. When power fails, the offline standby UPS flips an internal relay switch, disconnecting it from the AC line and connecting it to its internal battery. Offline standby UPSs are no longer popular. They are the slowest to switch over, so sensitive electronic equipment might see a sudden power cut before the UPS has finished switching on. Even more limiting, the offline UPS does not provide any power conditioning. There is no protection against voltage spikes, surges, brownouts, and other variations in the quality of the incoming AC power. Line interactive UPS systems are the next step up. Take the offline UPS and add a built-in transformer interacting in line, see there's the name, with the incoming AC power to adjust for power fluctuations. This type of UPS provides surge protection and reduces the effects of spikes and low voltage brownouts. Just like the offline UPS, the line interactive UPS still has its batteries in standby mode and has to physically toggle a relay to switch over to its internal battery during a power outage with the same limitations. This brings us to the most advanced UPS, the online double conversion UPS. That's a mouthful, but again, actually just a very descriptive name. Online, or perhaps more accurately, fully online, means the AC power from the wall passes through the UPS circuitry, is processed, and then output to the attached devices being protected all the time. This type of UPS is always involved in the flow of the AC power. Double conversion explains the conversions the electricity undergoes in moving from the input of the UPS to the output connections. AC power from the wall is converted by an internal transformer to direct current, or DC power, and then sent to charge the UPS internal batteries. That's the first conversion. The DC output power from the batteries is sent to an inverter, which converts the DC power back to AC power for output to the protected devices. That's the second conversion in the double conversion, giving this UPS its name. The key thing here is that the output power to the devices being protected is always coming from the internal batteries. So during a power failure, there is effectively zero transfer time. When power fails, the internal batteries simply keep supplying power until they run down. As you might guess, the line interactive double conversion UPS is the most complex and therefore most expensive kind of UPS system. It is best suited for life-sustaining or life-saving medical devices and complex precision industrial equipment and machines that must be absolutely protected from any kind of power fluctuation or power failure, and is beyond the budget for most typical home or consumer use. So the TLDR, avoid offline standby UPS systems and make sure anything you are considering has at least a line interactive design. Want help with your smart home? I offer private, one-on-one consulting to save time and money for any smart home automation project. Use the link on the screen for more info. When shopping for UPS, here are the features I recommend looking for. Like most tech, there isn't a single manufacturer or product that's the right choice for everyone. To help you sort through all the options, here's my take on the features list. Every UPS has some AC receptacles, what most of us call simply outlets, to plug in the computer, monitor, network equipment, and other gear we want to protect. This is straightforward. Look for how many AC outlets are included. The more the merrier. So if you want to connect a lot of different devices, you won't be hunting around for additional power strips or power cord splitters. Be careful though. Some UPSs include both protected and unprotected AC outlets. It's common to find 4 protected outlets and 4 unprotected outlets on consumer UPSs. That means you can directly connect 4 devices to be protected and connect 4 other devices as a convenience, but they're not protected. Why would you do that? Well, consider adding a UPS to your home office computer setup. You probably want your computer and monitor to be protected, and maybe the power supply for an external hard drive system too. So you'll need at least 3 protected outlets. If you have a printer, a desk lamp, maybe even a paper shredder, 3 more unprotected auxiliary outlets would be useful for a tidy setup without extra power cords or extension cords. Now in this case, you don't want a UPS with only 8 protected outlets. If you were to connect the printer, desk lamp, and shredder to the UPS too, then you're wasting battery power and reducing the total runtime available during an actual power outage. Are you enjoying this video? By clicking on the like button, you tell YouTube what content to show you. Help me help you, and click the like button now. All UPSs have a finite lifetime. Typical consumer products have a life of from 2 to 5 years. Some are rated for as long as 10 years. The biggest limit on how long they will keep working is endurance of the internal batteries. That depends upon the battery technology used, more on this later, and serviceability. The option to replace the batteries and keep using the UPS can be valuable. But this isn't always as important as it might seem. Batteries are expensive and heavy and make up a big portion of the total cost of a UPS. Buying and having replacement batteries shipped to you might end up costing 80 to 90% of the cost of the original UPS versus buying a new one. With battery and UPS technology evolving fairly quickly, replacing an older UPS might be more cost-effective than refurbishing it by changing the batteries, but every situation is different. UPSs can be used as plug-and-play, no software needed, hardware devices just fine, but it can be valuable to use them with software control when you're protecting computers or servers. By connecting the UPS via a serial or USB interface, the UPS can communicate or talk to the connected computer. The UPS can tell the computer the state of its battery charge and warn the connected computer when a power outage has occurred and the UPS has switched to battery power. Modern computers and many dedicated or special function servers or processors have built-in UPS monitoring software. What does this mean? If you keep any computers or servers, such as network-attached storage or NAS systems, running 24/7, you won't always be around when the power goes out. During a power failure, the protected devices will continue to run just fine. There's no problem if you happen to be away from your home and there's a brief failure, but what happens when power is out for several hours or more? Pretty simple. The batteries in the UPS will be drained, and then the computer or server will experience a total loss of power, just like they would have experienced immediately if you didn't have a UPS at all. On the other hand, if your computer or server and UPS have the appropriate software, they'll receive a power failure alert from the UPS. The computer can then initiate a controlled shutdown long before the UPS batteries run out. The computer can ignore the power failure warning and keep running until the UPS batteries die, but why would you do that? The last UPS feature I want to talk about is power conditioning. I've already mentioned this briefly when describing the different kinds of UPS systems. They may vary in features, but almost all UPSs include some type of power conditioning. also known as automatic voltage regulation, or AVR. These features address the quality of the electricity from your utility provider. Spoiler, it often sucks, and cleaning it up to avoid damage to equipment caused by high or low voltage, voltage spikes, and surges. There is one additional technical detail that is often overlooked by consumers and deserves more attention: the waveforms created by the UPS inverter. As explained earlier, every UPS has a battery system that stores and outputs direct current, or DC power. This has to be converted to alternating current, or AC, to power the devices you want to use. Converting DC to AC is the job of an electrical circuit called an inverter. DC current can be visualized as a straight line, while AC current is represented by a sine wave. If you use inexpensive components and circuitry for the inverter, instead of pure sine wave, you get an output current that looks like a square wave or a triangle wave. It doesn't make much difference if you're powering a fan or a light, but sophisticated electronic equipment, especially computers and audio gear, expect a pure sine wave and may not tolerate the ragged step square wave produced by entry-level UPSs. Look for a UPS that clearly states it produces pure sine wave AC output. If they do it, they'll be shouting it loud and proud. If you don't see it in the specs, that's clearly a red flag. Dig deeper into the fine print, you will probably discover that particular device outputs a stepped square wave approximation instead. Thank you so much for watching this video. You are awesome. If you enjoy this video and want to see more, toggle that subscribe button, automate the bell icon, and get started on your next smart home project. For the best success in adding a UPS system to your smart home network, step back and do some planning. Not saying you have to go all spreadsheet, but it's worthwhile to figure out a few things in advance. Even if you are tempted to just mull them over in your head, I suggest you bother to write them down in your favorite notes app or go caveman with pencil and paper. Runtime. How long in minutes or hours, probably not days, you want critical gear to operate during an outage. If you just want to be able to shut down your computers, the odd server or smart hub or two, 10 or 15 minutes runtime might be more than enough. Want to keep your security cameras running and have fully functioning Wi-Fi and networking for your smartphone, tablets, or laptop? You're probably looking at needing at least a few hours or longer. Want to kick back and keep binge watching the latest reality TV episodes or live sports coverage of your favorite team in action? You're going to need a lot more capacity and runtime. You'll want your network, TV provider or streaming box, and of course, that power-hungry huge screen TV and audio system to keep working. Based on what you want to keep running during an outage, work backwards and determine everything between that device and the power company outlet that needs to stay turned on. Let's start with home networking. Internet enters your home through a box that takes some form of internet connection and converts it to wired Ethernet and wireless Wi-Fi. This might be a digital subscriber line modem or high-speed telephone lines, a cable modem for coaxial cable, or a fiber optic network terminal connection, or perhaps a cellular 5G home internet gateway. Regardless of the hardware specifics, all these incoming signal handling devices require AC power. In the simpler scenario, these devices are combination multifunctional devices or combo boxes. So in addition to connecting to the source of your internet feed, provide firewall security, network routing, a few Ethernet ports, and probably even Wi-Fi. If you truly have an all-in-one box, then you're good to go supplying backup power to that device. If you have a more modular system, then be sure and count up all the bridges, gateways, routers, Ethernet switches, firewalls, Wi-Fi access points, and other AC-powered devices in the signal chain that must all be kept powered on to keep your home network operational. Take your time. Hopefully you already know how your existing network is configured and built, or can figure it out. Don't forget about additional Ethernet switches. You may have expanding your Ethernet connections in different rooms, inside TV cabinets, or behind desks or furniture in different parts of your house. If you have mesh Wi-Fi with multiple access points throughout your home, each of these APs probably needs AC power. If some or all of them are connected back to your central network closet over Ethernet, make sure the Ethernet switches driving those connections also have backup power. Better yet, use power over Ethernet or PoE as much as you can. More about that in a bit. We've got to talk about computers. Laptops, smartphones, and tablets are easy. They are all battery powered, so no special considerations here, and you can use them anywhere in your home that your Wi-Fi reaches. You do want to plan to be able to recharge the batteries in the event of longer outages, so have an easily reachable AC outlet from the UPS available and keep some multi-USB port charging bricks handy. For desktop computers and servers, this gets trickier as these use a fair amount of power. So plan accordingly if you want to do more than just a graceful, orderly shutdown. Don't forget the computer monitors. Headless servers may work most of the time, but in an emergency power failure situation, trying to administer a server or desktop computer without a monitor can be nerve-wracking. Next up, TV and entertainment devices. You can certainly do the same kind of power and runtime needs analysis for keeping that big screen TV and sound system running for as long as you want. At the risk of being the killjoy here, might I suggest you think really hard on why you want to do this at all? During a power outage, if you can use your smartphone, tablet, or computer to stream desired entertainment, it will be a lot simpler. If most of the people in your home always have their head buried in their own personal devices, that might be enough. Want to get a sense of camaraderie and community during a power outage without needing your TV? Just hang out in the same room together anyway. Let's look at physical placement next. As they say in real estate, it's all about location, location, location. The fly in the ointment in planning out the device protection chain might be obvious. If you're like me, you probably have a lot of different individual pieces of equipment that you want to keep powered up. Each device doesn't have a huge power draw by itself, but they're not all neatly located in one central location in a closet, home office, or garage. They're scattered everywhere throughout your home, aren't they? You might be looking at 3, 4, 5, or even more separate UPS systems to put one in each needed location. These things may be affordable, but they're not cheap, and that adds up quickly in cost and space requirements. So I have a few tips on how to scale back to make it manageable. First, revisit your plan and with a very critical eye, separate the must-have from the should-have and want-to-have when it comes to the devices that need backup power. Do you have good cellular coverage inside your home? Can you get by without Wi-Fi completely during a power outage? The nuclear option is to not use any UPS at all and rely on cellular internet for your smartphone, tablet, and laptop, all battery-powered devices. That does, of course, mean that most of your smart home devices will be down during the outage. But be realistic. If the power is out, most of the devices you would be controlling via home automation may also be down too for lack of power. See, I'm not always trying to spend all your money for you. Second, reduce the footprint of your home network. Most likely, you don't need Wi-Fi to reach everywhere. Wi-Fi in the backyard? Nah. Wi-Fi in the guest rooms? Maybe not. Wired Ethernet to every room? Maybe not. Careful pruning of your home network into critical and non-critical sections means a lot fewer Wi-Fi access points, Ethernet switches, or other networking gear need UPS protection. Third, re-engineer your home network and smart home configuration. This will have the biggest impact, but redesigning your home infrastructure will also be the most costly and time-consuming. It's probably something you should keep in mind as you replace or upgrade equipment over time. Where appropriate, consolidate equipment in a central location. That's why professionally installed systems usually cluster gear in an equipment rack located in a central area with good ventilation and access to the rest of the house. The more equipment that's grouped together, the easier it is to power everything from a single, larger UPS. That's more cost-effective and much easier than having multiple small UPSs scattered around your home. Convert your network to using power over Ethernet devices instead of AC-powered devices. This is potentially a big win. PoE is a proven technology that lets low-voltage direct current power travel over the same Ethernet wire already being used to send data to all these devices. It's truly a bit of electrical engineering magic, but it works beautifully. If all your Wi-Fi access points, Ethernet switches, especially second and third level distribution switches, and your IP security cameras are powered by PoE Ethernet, you'll eliminate lots of AC power cords, wall-wart plug-in power supplies, and USB powered cables that have limited distance. The upside is that PoE power for network devices streamlines your normal installation and operation, not just during power outages. Here's a pro tip. Once you know the desired runtime and which equipment needs to stay online, the rest of the planning exercise is a straightforward bit of high school math to arrive at the appropriate capacity UPS system or systems that will be required. Multiplication and addition, easily done on paper or with a calculator, is all you need. No fancy algebra or trigonometry, so put away your slide rule or protractor. I'm just kidding. I bet many of you don't even know what those are, do you? Calculating the total load to determine the size of UPSs can still be a daunting task. In my experience, the biggest challenge is dealing with the nomenclature and strange units of measure used to describe electricity usage that most of us are not really comfortable using. Understanding the basic electrical terms of volts, amps, watts, volt amps, and power factor is the key. Think of electricity measurements in terms of water flowing through a hose. Volts are like water pressure in a hose. They tell you how strongly the electricity is being pushed through the wires. If you have higher voltage, it's like having a stronger water pressure pushing water through a hose. Amps are like the amount of water flowing through the hose. They measure the flow of electricity, or how much electric current is moving through the wire. More amps means more electricity is flowing. Watts are like the amount of water you actually get out of the hose. They measure the power, or the total amount of electricity being used. To find watts, you multiply volts by amps. Volt amps are similar to watts, but are used to describe apparent power. Volt amps is the maximum theoretical power if everything is working perfectly. Power factor is an efficiency number that calculates how much of the potential power of the electrical system, measured in volt amps, is actually making it through to the output, measured in watts. Take the raw theoretical capacity of a power system, but then allow for all the real-world things that reduce the power output, and the amount of that reduction is the power factor. If you have a perfect power factor, it means you're using all the electricity efficiently. If the power factor is less than 1, it means some of the electricity is not being used. If you only get 3/4 of the electricity out that is usable, then you have a power factor of 0.75. Here's a summary of all these electrical terms. Volts, the pressure pushing electricity through the wires. Amps, the amount of electricity flowing through the wires. Watts, the actual power or work done by the electricity, which is volts times amps. Volt amps, the potential power considering volts and amps without factoring in efficiency. Power factor, the efficiency of how the electricity is used. For the example of filling a bucket with water using a garden hose. Volts is the pressure of the water going into the hose. Amps is how fast the water is flowing through the hose. Watts is how much water you collect in the bucket from the hose over time. Volt amps is like calculating the water output without considering if the hose has any leaks. Power factor is whether all the water coming out of the hose actually ends up in the bucket or some of it is wasted. So how do you determine power needs? There are 2 ways to figure out how much power your devices need. You can find and read the product data sheet or just measure it. Every product will list the product requirements somewhere. Just brush up on your Google skills and visit the website for the products. If you are hardcore, you can drill down into the electrical certs required to be filed with or on behalf of government agencies such as UL, CSA, and TUV. There is one thing to be aware of here. Manufacturers tend to be conservative when listing power requirements. They may not always clarify between maximum power draw, typical power usage, and short-term startup power. From a cover your butt to not get sued point of view, overstating their power requirements is a lot safer than being too aggressive in trying to hit a smaller number. Based on your comfort level with spec sheets or a desire to simply get the information firsthand, nothing beats using a power meter to measure the actual power draw yourself instead of relying on anyone else. No need to buy an expensive digital voltmeter, as there are many affordable devices now available that include power usage reporting as one of their features. The most ubiquitous choice is the appropriately named kilowatt power meter. This little device plugs into any AC outlet, and then the device you want to measure plugs into it. Much like Kleenex has become, to the chagrin of intellectual property lawyers, a generic word for facial tissues, there are many generic brands of kilowatt. The kilowatt has a built-in screen that shows you the real-time and cumulative electrical usage of the attached device, showing volts, amps, and watts. Many of them also have built-in memory and will log usage in kilowatt hours over a period of time, such as several days or longer. The next level up are smart plugs with built-in power measurements. These smart home devices work as a typical on-off smart plug, along with collecting all the data on electrical usage. Since most of us already own at least one or two smart plugs, check in the specs and see if you're in luck. I'll pop a list of my favorites up on the screen and include links to them in the description below. What am I using? Based on my initial planning survey, I found my ideal setup needs a lot of UPSs. Here's my first pass of locations where I need a UPS. Incoming internet optical network terminal in the garage, main network equipment rack in my home office desk with computer monitor and a Wi-Fi AP, media room with TV, AV receiver, satellite box, Apple TV, Wi-Fi access point, master bedroom with TV, soundbar, Apple TV, satellite box, master bedroom closet with primary Ethernet distribution switch, Wi-Fi access point, and upstairs office with main satellite DVR and Wi-Fi access point. Yeah, it's a big list, and I already didn't include 2 guest room TV setups or a bunch of Amazon, Apple, HomePod, and Sonos smart speakers. Taking my own advice, I pared it down to 2 essential locations: the incoming optical network terminal in the garage and the main network equipment rack in my home office. This is the absolute minimum if I am going to keep my network and Wi-Fi running at all. To build out my power usage survival solution, I'm using 2 UPSs from GoldenMate products. I want to thank GoldenMate products for providing 2 of their GoldenMate 1000 UPS battery backup systems free of charge, allowing me to build out and show their products in actual use. They didn't pay me any promotional or advertising fees, nor did they provide any input to the content of this video, and they have not seen or reviewed this video before its release. I really appreciate them going the extra distance, providing not just 1, but 2 units, so I could fully build out this network backup. The GoldenMate is a new entrant in the UPS product arena, and it uses a lithium iron phosphate battery pack instead of the traditional lead-acid batteries or lithium-ion chemistry that other companies have been using. As I understand it, lithium iron phosphate is the newest rechargeable battery chemistry and has longer life, more recharge cycles, and lower cost than existing lithium-ion batteries. As a side note, electric cars, which started with lithium-ion batteries, have been moving quickly to also adopt and offer newer battery systems based on lithium iron phosphate. The GoldenMate 1000 UPS has a rated output of 1000 volt amps, which is 800 watts of power, and includes power outlets on the back along with a front panel display and push button controls. I put a summary of all the product features on the screen and suggest you visit their website for more details. Lithium iron phosphate batteries feature an extended lifespan of at least 10 years without the need for costly and inconvenient battery replacement every 2 or 3 years. These newer battery packs are rated for 5,000 full charge-discharge cycles. GoldenMate provides a 5-year manufacturer warranty. Be sure and see the full terms and conditions on their website. I've been using 2 GoldenMate 1000 UPSs for around a month so far, and I've been very happy with them. They perform perfectly without any issues or concerns. As luck would have it, I had a major power outage of several hours the day before these arrived, and have not had any outages since then. But I have pulled the plug and simulated a power outage several times, and everything has gone smoothly without any hiccups at all. Of course, do your own research, find the best products for your intended use, and if GoldenMate fits your plans, they've provided a manufacturer direct discount code which can be used on their website for additional savings when purchasing. I'll put the discount code in the description below. Please note that this is not an affiliate code. I do not receive a commission or payment if you choose to buy their products. After all this research, planning, and design, it's time to actually install and deploy everything. Physical installation should be a breeze, as by now we've already figured out how many UPSs we need and where they need to go. Just a few quick installation guidelines to keep in mind. I want to be clear, these are my suggestions based on manufacturer recommendations, my own research, and experience. As always, when dealing with high voltage devices, consult a licensed electrician for the final word on safety and code compliance. Place the UPS in a well-ventilated area. Although they are primarily solid-state devices, even so-called sealed battery systems may outgas or vent small amounts that need to be dissipated. Common sense says to avoid placing near heat sources for safety or areas with high humidity to ensure product longevity and trouble-free operation. Plug these directly into the wall power outlet. Do not attach the UPS itself to mains power with an extension cord or power strip. These may not be rated for the full electrical draw of the UPS and might contain hidden circuitry that interferes with the proper UPS operation. Plug in the devices you plan to protect using the UPS output power receptacles, which are usually located at the back or rear of the unit. If you need to plug in more devices and outlets on the UPS, don't use power strips with built-in surge suppressors or any kind of power conditioning. Use completely dumb power strips or basic AC line cord splitters. Take a moment to write down the date of installation and estimated product life and battery life as applicable. Save all the dates and product model numbers so a few years from now, you don't have to go hunting to find them. Finally, it's time to give your backup power system the ultimate test. Pull the plug and see what happens. I strongly advise doing this when no one else is at home. You'll want to leave time to check the network equipment is still running. Verify everything you thought you needed to run during a power outage actually does. No matter how confident you are in your design and installation, best not to do the very first live test as a demo for your family. Trust me, from my own painful experience, it almost never goes well. Keep in mind the old adage, you don't get a second chance to make a first impression. So what do you think? Do you need a UPS system to keep your smart home and network running? Uninterruptible power and network power backup is great, but sometimes you just want something better than manually pushing a power button. A bit quirky, but the SwitchBot bot can be the perfect smart home device for that. Learn more about how it can help button pushers by watching this video next.